Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rory Reid, aka Tripler999, and today we're going to discuss this last piece I did in a series of female studies that you've seen on the channel recently. Just going to go over the palette once again and my thoughts and different ideas and concepts that I incorporated into the piece. And I'm going to tell you what I've chosen from this piece, what I've learned from this piece to use in my paintings moving forward. So that's going to be the topic of the video today. I'm going to jump right into the time lapse. If you could do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We've got about 12 to 15 new subscribers over these last couple of weeks. I want to welcome you guys to the channel. Thank you so much. Your support is greatly appreciated. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into the time lapse, and I'll check back with you in the end to let you know my final thoughts. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so jumping in, as is customary, we start off with a sketch of our piece on the blank canvas, and then from there I'm going to use a dark color to outline the piece just so I have my lines solidified so that when I paint over it I can still see the underlined sketch. In this particular case, and what I usually do, I use the color Payne's Gray right out of the tube. Just mix a little bit of it up in a liner brush and get an outline completed. As I told you before, it's always good to have a system when you paint of steps that you go through, as it provides you direction and saves you a ton of time. If you're working professionally, saving time is your best friend. So this particular system, if you look on the last 4 or 5 pieces that I've shown on the channel, I do the same thing at the start every time. I got my sketch in pencil, outline it with Payne's Gray, wash the canvas with whatever color I want on the bottom. In this case I use like a turquoise blue / green, and then from there the next step is I dropped in my shadow color, which is going to be a reference point for the darkest color on the canvas, and from there I'll adjust it as necessary. Might need to go a little bit darker later on in the painting, might need to go a little bit lighter in the shadow color later on in the painting. We're just gonna start there and then figure it out as we go. Here now I decided to drop in some of the background, the first coat, and this is just a placeholder as well. I'm gonna let this dry and then put in another one. As I explained to you before in previous videos, you always want to think about putting 2 to 3 coats of paint on the canvas before you consider a painting sort of done, unless you have a specific style that you work in where you leave some of the underlined canvas through. Me, sometimes I do that, but most of the times I don't. So here you see I put in a second coat of paint on the background, and you can really see the turquoise blue, turquoise green color I'm using now, and it's the same value as the darkest dark on the figure itself, the body itself. And as I said, we'll adjust that as need be further along into the painting. Just working on the body some more, focusing on the shape, the anatomy of the figure, and trying to keep the forms where they should be, trying to add in the different values to hint at the 3-dimensionality of the figure. And I'm using the shadows and the midtones and the highlights as well to draw focus on specific areas of the figure. As I can see down at the bottom where the legs are is kind of in shadow, sort of. We'll define that more as we go, and you can see towards the chest region it's more in the highlight or lighter value, so as to draw focus there. And when you're painting a figure, that's something I've started doing myself recently. It just adds a bit more dimension. I'm sure you've heard me say that before, and I'm repeating it because I find it so much, it's like a valuable tip to add way more of a dynamic feel to your paintings, your figure drawings or your figure paintings. Leave some in shadow, bring some limbs to the forefront. It just makes your piece look way more realistic. And as you can see, another layer is added to the figure, and it's making the skin now a bit more smoothed out. The form is coming together. Still a little bit all over the place, but you know, we're gonna keep working it and until we get it where it needs to be. The cabinets below as well, or the countertop, is taking shape. I was purposely gonna leave that a bit abstract as to not to make everything in the painting stand out or be loud or to be a distraction from the main focal point, which was the figure. So it was a conscious decision to leave that kind of loose and painterly and, you know, blurry, whatever you want to call it, as so the viewer wouldn't spend a lot of time looking at it. It's just there to give slight context of the overall piece. And again, just dropping in some more of my brown color. I believe for this one I mixed raw umber and white, and then I added in orange wherever I wanted a warmer feel on the skin, and added in my turquoise blue color when I wanted a cool area on the skin. For this one I purposely used the orange in like the mid-tone areas and the shadows of this piece, and then as you can see later on in the piece towards the end, I'm going to hit the highlight areas with the turquoise blue mix into the brown at a really light value for my highlights. Gave it a nice touch and a bit of variety in the skin tone. So in the skin tones I got the raw umber and white base mix. I have the raw umber white base mix with a hint of orange for the mid-tone areas, and I have the raw umber white and the turquoise blue mix for the highlight areas on this specific skin itself. So you know, it's 3 different variations, as well as the many different variations in value across the entire figure itself. So when the eye looks at that, you got a lot of different things going on, and it all works well together. It's not just a flat raw umber or flat brown color. That's very important, and that is required in the painting. So you want to know, for example, where your light source is, the composition, what goes where, what's the focal point of your piece. All these kind of things you need to decide on and solidify before you start painting, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to be excited, you're going to start, you're going to go to about quarter of the way through the painting, then you're going to start to become lost and discouraged, and that's how you end up having a painting on the wall for 2 years without touching it, you know, because you sort of started and then lost your way, and then your enthusiasm for the piece goes. And with that, you know, I have a couple of those on the wall myself, so this is personal advice I'm giving you. Create a system, stick with the system, and plan everything out before you start. What color is going to go where, how the background is going to look, where your focal point is going to be, composition of the piece. I even take it a step further, and I mix all of my various colors before I start, and all my various tones, and that helps me out tremendously. So what you just saw me do here with this piece is I put a wash over the whole painting of the turquoise blue color, and it sort of dulled down and blended in the skin tone to the atmosphere of the piece. Before, you saw the skin tone was kind of jumping off the page, the canvas, jumping off the canvas. and that wash sort of blended everything in. And then now moving forward, I'm going to drop some orange tones into the background, give it a bit of variety, and sort of draws your eyes into the center of the canvas. And then I'm going to bring back up all the places on the figure itself which are too dull, and then on top of doing that, I'm going to drop in my highlights, which is the super light version of the turquoise blue color that you see on like the cabinet below the shirt and the background. That is going to be my highlights. That's a simple trick that, you know, many people know. It's not something too serious, but when you're painting using a slightly toned version of your highlight color, in this case it's white, and I'm slightly toning it with the turquoise blue color, and I'm using that as my highlight. So as you see on the chest area there, you see some flashes of it now. This is still relatively about halfway through the painting, so all of this stuff is going to be worked on over the course of the next, you know, however many hours I spent completing it. I'm going to bring everything up to where it needs to be, and as far as highlights go, and then you should have a nice contrast scale from dark to light across the whole piece. As you can see now, I'm bringing up all the highlights, bringing them up, just dropping the color in, using sometimes I use a filbert brush and just dampen it a little to get it smoothed out if I'm going for the smooth look. On the shirt there, you see I have it kind of abstract, kind of jagged, kind of painterly, which I thought worked well. And on the skins, I kept it kind of smooth, which, you know, a little difference in painting style and texture gives the painting a nice variety. Right now, you see I brought everything back up, and the skin tone is looking great at this point. You know, it's sort of diving into that realism sort of spectrum as opposed to the more painterly style. Do a few more minutes on the face now to try to bring that up to where the rest of the body is. But yeah, look at this, man. I could have left it at this point here as far as the skin tone goes, because it's really looking, I'm really liking where it looked here. But I'm going to still continue on with my style, add in my abstractions, my highlights, and try to give the background, because as you can see, the background is still a bit flat and uninteresting, so some more work will be needed there. These are the kind of things you got to pay attention to when you paint too as well. You want to take yourself out of being the artist and step back and try to anticipate how the viewer is going to experience the painting. And so, you know, you can look at a painting and see what areas are a little bit boring, what areas are not, and make adjustments as you go along. I'm working now on the lingerie, trying to put in the little abstract pattern that I have in my reference, and yeah, that's step one. And then from there we you know, try to work in the highlights on the different value tones on the lingerie itself to make it more real. Right now with just the dark color, it's, you know, kind of flat, but as you can see now, I'm going in and trying to put in different tones to add shape and form to even the lingerie itself, the bands, the strands, and you can see now it's jumping out, looking much better than it did before. So right now, liking where the shirt is at as well. The cabinet, still want to leave that abstract, didn't want that to sort of jump into the foreground, as the figure is the, more specifically her body is the focal point of this piece. And then once the viewer's eyes wander off from the body to her face and her eyes, they'll realize that it's empty. And I'm gonna darken those out here in the future, but just bringing a little bit more light into the face and working it a little bit more. There you see I just blacked the eyes out, and then now you have like a really beautiful torso and body, and like a really creepy looking face, which sort of speaks to the, you know, the duality of a lot of these IG model types you meet now. Very beautiful, talk to them, very ugly. You know, that's sort of what this piece was to you know, give some slight commentary on. And as an artist, that's always something good to do. You want to, you know, document the times you live in, so that those that come after you can get a feel of what it was like in your times. When I look at old paintings, that's the first thing that comes across to me is, you know, I get a sense of how life was back then, and you know, the paintings relay that emotion and feeling when you look at them. So I always try to put that into my pieces as well. And if you notice too, I dropped in some orange tones on the skin, contrast well with the teal / turquoise blue-green background and overall color of the piece. And you know, teal and orange always work well together. It's kind of the foundation of what I'm doing here. So alright guys, so there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, let me know down below. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. I answer and read all the comments I receive on these videos, so that would be a great way to let me know if what I'm doing on the channel is to your liking or not. Very open to criticism as well. Also, be sure to check out my Teespring link. I uploaded a couple designs there. Give me some feedback on those if you can. And also, if you're interested in this particular painting or any prints of this painting, you can find links to those in the description down below, or just go over to my Etsy store, which is linked down below as well, to check out any other prints or originals that you might be interested in moving forward. Thank you once again, man. It's been a great year last year. Very difficult as it was for everyone else too, I know. And yeah, looking forward to a brighter future and better things for this year coming up. Hope you guys come along with me on that journey. And yes, I'll see you all next time. Peace. And guys, I have uploaded a couple designs to Teespring. If you're interested in any merch, go ahead and check those out. It will be linked down below. And I am currently working on a few more designs that I will be uploading in the near future as well, so you can stay tuned for that.